Welcome to everybody that's joining us. We'll be getting started in about just a minute or so. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm a Broomfield College admission counselor from Broomfield College. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration, the NJACAC Virtual College Exploration. So just some housekeeping rules and some FYI. You are able to ask questions from your Q&A button because your camera and microphones are turned off. When you do ask questions in the Q&A button, it goes directly to the panelists, so they will be able to answer your question throughout the session. You are able to sign up for more sessions if you go on the website at njacac.org/virtual fair. We do encourage you to sign up for more sessions. We do have a lot lined up for you for the next few weeks. And just be mindful that all of the sessions are being recorded, so they will be available at the njacac.org/virtual fair website. So if you are, if you're not able to make a session and you want to hear a recording, that will be available. And now I'm going to hand the floor over to the panelists.
Thank you so much for that. We want to welcome everyone who is joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you here. So welcome on behalf of all of us admissions counselors here. We are happy to have you in this presentation titled Not Having a Major Isn't Major. So thank you for taking your time tonight to join us with this. So to start, we're first going to introduce who we have with us today. I'll go ahead and start since I'm already talking. My name is Maura Fox. I am an undergraduate admissions counselor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, which is a private institution located in northern New Jersey.
Every time. My name is Katie Lesko, and I am a assistant vice president of undergraduate admissions at the College of St. Rose. St. Rose is located in Albany, New York, and so I'm excited to be here with you. I've been in this business about 20 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Henyon. I'm an admission counselor in Ithaca at Ithaca College in Ithaca, New York. And I primarily work with students in New Jersey, but also some students in Central New York. And before becoming an admission counselor, I spent 10 years as a middle school and high school music teacher. And I'll turn it over to Kara.
Hi everyone, my name's Kara. I'm a junior at Ithaca College, so I'm a tour guide there. I work a lot with Jenny, but I'm here today because I actually was in Ithaca College's Undecided program, which is called the Exploratory program. So I have some firsthand experience with being an explorer.
Great. So to get things started, we first want to provide a poll for you all. So if you take out your iPhones, you can scan the QR code, or you can join at slido.com and use the hashtag 84872 to join. And our question for you to start this off is, what are you interested in studying? It could be as easy as, I don't know, because of course that's kind of the whole point of this presentation, or you might have a general idea. So we'll take a few seconds, feel free to put in your answers and we'll see what comes up. I'm sensing a theme. Awesome. Okay, so we have a couple ideas. Something STEM, love that. You're not just limited to one. Computers. Cool. So clearly the biggest answer here is I don't know. This is a type of poll that's used where the most common answer is the biggest. So I think it's easy to predict that most of you aren't exactly sure what you want to do. And that's why we're here. We're here to tell you that that's not a big deal. It's totally okay. And we're going to use this presentation to talk about the benefits of that and how to go about the college application process going into an undeclared major. So first, thank you guys for participating in that poll. All right, so today's agenda, we will first be going over what exactly undecided means. We'll give you just a small definition and get you more informed on what exactly that process looks like. We'll also talk about the benefits of going in as undecided, as well as the benefits of going in as a specific major, depending on what you're interested in. We will also talk about what your 4-year schedule will look like, and then also we'll wrap it with the application process, because of course that's the big thing here as of lately. It is college application season, that time is approaching, so we want to make sure you're fully comfortable going into that. And we will end the presentation with answering any questions. But I will also point out that we do have that Q&A feature that we talked about earlier, so if you do have any questions in the meantime, you're more than welcome to type them using that chat box. Okay, so this will be the last slide I talk about for a while before I move on to my colleagues. But first, the one thing we wanted to talk about really is what's the difference between going in as undecided versus declaring a major? Well, we highly encourage that if you have no idea what you want to do, or just have a lot of different interests and you're not sure exactly what type of major specifically you want to do with your career, then we suggest looking into some type of undecided or exploring options that are available. It does give you more broad in choices that you have in regards to classes and what you're interested in for the first couple of years. But then by a certain year, depending on the academic institution that you are in, you will have to choose a major. But if you aren't too sure in the beginning of the application process, then we recommend looking into some type of exploratory program that a lot of schools offer. Versus looking at a major specific program, you do have a certain goal in mind. You do know what you want to do once you graduate college. And that does require meeting certain credits and criteria as you go into your 4-year schedule, which is why it might look a little more strict in terms of your 4-year schedule, because you have to meet certain prerequisites before taking certain classes, making sure that you're well prepared as you move on. And then finally, that also means that you might have a little bit of difficulty changing majors as you go on through your 4 years. So for example, let's say you're super into biology and you choose that as a major, you stay for about a year or two, but then you think, oh wait, I think I actually like business. Well, biology and business majors don't share a lot of the same classes that are required for credits. So in that certain circumstance, it will probably take you a little longer than 4 years because of the differences in majors. But one of the great benefits of going in as an undeclared or an exploring option, you're still getting those credits that will satisfy your 4-year requirements.
Perfect, thank you, Maura. That was an excellent recap of the differences, and that's really what all of you are thinking about, is the difference between, do I pick a major that is something I enjoy, or do I go in as undecided? And there are benefits to being undecided, and I'm a fan of myths, right? One of my favorite shows is those Mythbusters, where you can actually go and figure out if it was true or not. And so I think that I'm going to talk to you through the lens of a couple myths that we hear. And one of the myths are everybody else knows what major they want to be, so therefore I must know that as well. And I think we can always thank the grandmother at the dinner table that asks the student what do they want to be when they grow up, when they're little. And so we always think we have to have that answer, and we don't. So one of the benefits of being undecided when you really truly are exploring is the fact that other students around you are also exploring, and there's power in people. And there's also power with advisors who help you figure out what your path might be. And they ask the questions because they have seen this before. You're not the first undecided student to come across their desk, and you definitely won't be the last. And really, you're in some ways preparing for majors that don't even exist, right? Careers that don't even exist yet. So there's power in people, and a lot of people are undecided. One of the facts is about 80%, so it's a third of the people come in with a major and change it, so about 33%. And then about 50% of the people come in undecided. So really 80% of the students start in a place where they're not with the final major they'll have. And I think sometimes stats help us bust those myths. So 80% of the people, 8 out of 10 people, are not going to finish with what they started as a major. And it's really important to hold that when you're lost, a little bit lost or a little bit confused. Another benefit to being undecided is money and time. And the myth behind this is everyone thinks you have to know your major to save the most amount of money to graduate on time. And really, that's a myth. Undecided students, when picking a college, pick it for a lot of different reasons. And if they're in the right structure and right program that we'll talk about it a little bit later, Jenny will touch on, you're going to be able to make that investment in the college that invests in you. And there's a higher rate for graduation. If you're paying attention, there's a higher graduation rate sometimes for students that are undeclared because they spend the time and the money on themselves and getting the information to make the right decision. And so they're not switching like Maura talked about a little bit later. They're actually spending time with the information. Time with information really creates wisdom. So I had to throw in one of those overarching themes. And wisdom is a benefit of being undecided because you're able to be open, you're able to learn something and see how it applies to you. That is the power of going to college, meeting different people, being a part of different experiences, and allowing that to shape you as who you want to be, not necessarily just what you want to do. And lastly, the careers. So many times the myth around careers is the fact that you have to have a major and a major equals a career. And I was reading something the other day from, I think it was Georgia State or Georgia Tech, and they have mega majors. And I thought, that's really neat, right? They have cluster majors. So students don't have to exactly pick something and they don't necessarily have to come in undecided, but they're able to pick an overarching theme. You can do that as an undecided major as well, because you can pick an area of interest that you like and pull those pieces in. Your career is going to be something that you might not know right now, but being open to the content that you're learning, being open to those experiences, an undecided student sometimes opens up more experience, experiences than if they came in with one direct major and one direct mindset. So that is our benefits to being undecided, and hopefully that gives you the inspiration that you need to pick undecided as a major. So Jenny, what happens to that undecided student when they come in?
Great question. So one of the questions then is, can I still graduate in 4 years if I enter into an exploratory type program? And the answer is, in the vast majority of cases, yes, which should be great news, right? But what do those 4 years look like? So the amount of time that you have to explore your options before you choose a major, it does vary by institution, but regardless, it's a program that's designed to give you more time and still prepare you to graduate on time. So the first thing that you'll be supported in doing is explore. And so that really means explore all your academic options. You can take classes from different majors or departments to help you get familiar with the content and the activities and the experiences that are available to you in different programs. And you'll also have advisors and mentors right from the start available to guide you in not only learning about the different academic programs, but to answer any questions you have, make sure you're taking classes that go toward your degree progression, regardless of what major you end up choosing later on. You'll also be able, right from the start, you'll be able to connect with current and former students who went through this program to offer their advice, to help you as you go along in the journey. And what's especially nice is in the early stages that you can really cast as broad or as narrow a net as you want. So if you know you're only interested in majors related to business, for example, you'll have advisors and mentors to help you get familiar with the business majors and different careers that are associated with them. But on the other hand, if you really have no idea at all, that's absolutely okay. So these programs are designed to support you wherever you are in the decision-making process, even if that means starting from square one. So after you've done the initial exploring your options phase, then you'll start to discover. And so this means you're essentially narrowing your search for a major. You not only discover what academic interests start to feel like a good fit, but you discover more about who you are, and who you are will begin to shape and to shift and to change during your college experience. This kind of goes back to what Katie was talking about wisdom. And that'll definitely have an influence on where you'll find yourself academically later on. Through discovering, you'll discover new experiences, you'll meet different people, and as you learn more about what's available to you at college, you'll make connections between your interests and your goals based on your personality and your different passions. So for example, you might have thought that you wanted to be a teacher, but then you discover that you're also really passionate about environmental sustainability. So is there a way to combine those interests, or are you more passionate about one than the other? So maybe during this discovery phase, you take some environmental science classes, but also take like an educational psychology class to help you determine if one program or the other, or maybe even both together, would be a good fit for you. So this phase where you're focusing on discovery, is really, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. This phase where you're focused on discovery, where you'll realize what your career goals may be and maybe what majors can help you accomplish those different goals. And then after this discovery phase, eventually you'll be guided toward narrowing your focus even more once you find the path that really fits for you. So this might mean selecting your major or combining your academic interests with a major and a minor, sometimes maybe a double major or even a double minor. At many colleges, there are a lot of ways for you to customize your experience to align with your goals. And so in entering some sort of exploring type program is a great way to help you make progress toward those goals as you go on through your time. Because you have professional guidance and the freedom to explore early on in the process, once you do select your major, you'll already be well on your way to completing the requirements for your curriculum, and your path will really be laid out in front of you. So there's no guesswork, like, have I earned enough credits so far to graduate on time? Or am I going to like the classes I have to take? Or what type of jobs are available to me with this degree? You'll already be informed about all of those questions through exploring your options and discovering more about yourself and your school during your time in an exploratory type program. So now keep in mind, when you see explore, discover, and focus on your screen here, those three things can happen on your own timeline. So you might just take one semester to go through that entire process and choose a major by the time you start your second semester, or you might take a year or even maybe 2 years, depending on the institution, to determine what major is right for you. So it's really based on your timeline and what your goals are and what you need to get out of the program. Different schools offer different options in terms of how long you have to pick your major, but regardless, in any sort of exploratory type program designed like this, you'll be given the tools and opportunities that you need so you can celebrate finding the right fit and finish your degree in 4 years. Sounds good, right?
Okay, so now that you've learned a little bit about what coming in as an undeclared or an exploring student looks like, we were going to touch on the application process because, of course, like I said, it's a very big time of year, especially right now. The one thing that we want to stress to all of you is that it varies by school. So we highly recommend that you reach out to the admissions counselor of the school that you are applying to so that you are sure that you're meeting all of the right requirements in regards to what's required for the application. Katie, do you want to talk about your school first?
Perfect. I'd be happy to. So at the College of St. Rose, when you apply with a program of interest, and we admit to the college. We don't admit to particular majors. So you can pick exploratory at St. Rose. We would look at your academics as coming into the college as a whole. That's a little bit different than other colleges. Sometimes when they admit to major, and sometimes they admit to the college. So we admit to the college, but you get to suggest which major you'd like. So exploratory would be one of those. We would review your academics for the programs or for the college, admit you, and then when you come in and deposit to St. Rose over the summertime, you're going to fill out an academic inventory or an academic interest form. And this gives us an understanding to our academic office. It gives us an understanding about what types of classes you're thinking about. Do you want to continue a foreign language? Do you like math? Do you never want to see another math class again? So it's a little bit of a academic interest. What kind of classes make sense for you? And then if a student stays with exploratory after they meet with their academic advisor over the summertime, if they want to stay with exploratory, they're put into another class during the fall and spring. And then every major will come in every department will come in and present to that class. And so again, you're with a lot of people. They walk you through what different majors, what different careers. The Career Center spends a lot of time doing the self-assessment tests as well, so you understand the type of person you are and the strengths that you have. So that's our application process. We do early admissions and regular admissions, and then that's our application process in relationship to exploratory. Jenny or Maura? Yep, Maura's next.
I'll go, yeah. So at Fairleigh Dickinson University, one thing that we really like to say is that we're not going to tell you to just choose undeclared and fight for yourself and figure out what you want to do all on your own. So we do have options to explore certain areas that I'm sure are similar to a lot of other schools. So for example, you can choose exploring business, exploring education, liberal arts, humanities, theater, just so that you're going into your first year with some sort of idea that you know that you want. But within that first year, you still have the ability to take other classes that you might be interested in. So on our application, you would just pick one of those exploring majors that you're interested in, and it's a regular application process. So we look at your high school transcripts, evaluate you on a basis, and then from there, if you choose to enroll in FDU, you do, of course, meet with an advisor before going into your first year during our summer orientation program. And before you meet with them, you're filling out a questionnaire that includes your interests, similar to what Katie was saying, what your interests are, what classes you like, and then based on the exploring major that you chose, your first semester schedule will be picked for you. That's how it is for all first year students at FDU. It's not just for exploring majors, but your first semester schedule will be chosen for you. And then from there, you will work alongside your advisor to declare a major by the end of your first year. If, however, you still need that time to figure out what exactly you want to do, that's completely okay. We have, of course, had students declare a major not until the fall of their sophomore year, even the end of their sophomore year. So there's definitely no rush within that first year because, you know, as a college student, you're still trying to figure out what exactly you want to do. But we do make sure that you have specific advisors assigned to you based on the area of exploration to guide you through the process.
So at Ithaca College, it's a pretty simple application process. We're a member of the Common Application, and so we admit directly to academic programs. So when you see the drop-down box that gives you all the options of the different majors that we offer at Ithaca College, you'll just find the exploratory option and you choose that, and so you're applying directly to that program. And then we review your application just like any other application. We're looking at kind of like what Maura talked about, your transcript, your letters of recommendation, your personal essay, and then any activities or additional information you want to share with us to determine whether or not you'd be a great fit for our campus. And for the exploratory program in general, there are no specific requirements you need to meet, not certain high school classes or anything like that. Just make sure you've graduated from high school and then you are, you know, fully able to be considered for that program. And then at Ithaca College specifically, you do have up to 2 full years or 60 credits, whatever happens first, to spend in the exploratory program, to explore your options, to get familiar with the different programs before you do need to select a major. Kara, did you apply as an exploratory program student or did you switch into it later on?
No, I started an exploratory. I didn't know what I wanted to do at all, so I did not come in with a different major. And I didn't declare until the end of my sophomore year. Second semester sophomore year was when I declared my major as economics.
Okay, so you took the full time. You were taking your time.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, I did. I took my time and I don't regret it. And I can still graduate on time, so we're chilling.
Excellent. Do you think I missed anything about the application process at Ithaca since you specifically went through that?
No, yeah, I just remember I saw on the drop-down menu exploratory and I said, that's for me. And then yeah, it was easy peasy.
Awesome, sounds good. Amazing, so we have quite a bit of time for your questions and I've been kind of taking a look at the question and answer box. So let's dive into those. So the first question that we received is, do all schools have the choice to go in undecided? or is it just a few? And that's a really, really great question. So I'm so glad you asked that. And I'll go ahead and take this one, and then if anybody else wants to jump in, feel free. So the reason FDU, St. Rose, and Ithaca College are here specifically is because our institutions have specific programs for students who are undecided or undeclared. Programs that are designed to help you and give you the support you need so that you can decide a major and make an informed decision about your major. So not every school has it. If that's something that is of interest to you, you definitely want to look into that and maybe chat with admission counselors, browse their websites. I think it's becoming more and more common, but the three schools here, we have exploratory type programs that have been around for a little bit, and so we feel like we're good kind of ambassadors for the program, and we can certainly share more information with about the programs that we offer. But there are definitely other schools that have it, but not every single school has it. So that's a great question. Maura or Katie, did either of you want to add to that? Cover it? Okay, awesome. Next question, can you please explain a double minor or a double major? Anybody want to take that one?
Sure, that's a great question. So I work with our student ambassador program at FDU, and I always, when I introduce them, I say that they are the busiest students on campus because they have at least 2 minors and 3 majors. So what that really means is that you are making the most of your 4 years at college, and you're choosing more than one area to major in. So for example, some schools, they'll have an example of majoring in marketing and advertising and business administration with a minor or a concentration in sales or digital marketing. So you're choosing multiple areas, typically within the same type of subject, so that you're getting more information about studying. Another example I can provide, which I'm sure is pretty common at a lot of schools, your education programs. So typically if you are in a secondary education program, so whether that be middle school or high school level, you're looking to teach those levels, you're going to ask to choose a second major in the area of concentration that you want to teach. So that can be a science or an English. So you're double majoring by choosing one major in education and your second major in English.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. So this will vary by institution, but Kara, I'm probably going to toss this one to you because you've been through this. What will my first year look like in the program? So we touched a little bit about what the different years might look like, how long it might take, but can you kind of describe what your experience was during your first year?
Definitely. So for me, I knew leaving high school that I had an interest in economics. So my strategy, which was then reinforced by the exploratory program at Ithaca through a class I took called Exploring the Options, was to keep one economic class in my first semester, but then also take 4 completely different other classes so that I could compare how much I liked the program I thought I might like versus how much I like new college majors that I didn't even know existed before I stepped foot on campus. So for me, it looked like 1 econ class and then 4 classes that would make me run across campus in different buildings and different departments, so I could really see if I was passionate about what I suspected I might be, or if I would find something else that I loved. And it ended up for me that I did like economics as much as I thought I did, but I was really grateful for a bit of a all over the place first year because I really got to see the different styles of classes that my school had to offer. And then what was also really nice about this is that at Ithaca, we do have general education requirements that we call the integrative core curriculum. So it's also heavily stressed that exploratory students take classes that will dip into different areas of study that you might be interested in that will also fulfill those requirements, which is another way of just making sure that even though you don't have a major when you step onto campus, you will still be able to graduate in 4 years because you are getting certain general requirements done that are not major specific.
Great, thank you, Kara.
Kara, that's a great point. So when the student asked about majors and minors, sometimes we as admissions people talk really fast because we understand it, right? I always say to people, my major has been college for the last couple of years that I've been doing this. And so one of the things to think about is when you graduate with an undergraduate degree, you're pretty much getting about 120 credits. And normally classes are 3 credits apiece. That's normal. A lab might be 1 credit, an internship might be 3 or 4 credits. But if you think of your college experience as 3 columns, most colleges will have a column for your major, a column for core, which are going to be classes that aren't in your major, and classes that the college itself has deemed important. That what we're trying to do is build skill sets for the student. So we want to see the oral communication skills, the critical thinking, what type of classes allow you to put those skill sets to work and practice those skill sets. And then the last column is this auxiliary classes, which sometimes support your core and sometimes they support your major. So maybe it's a statistics class if you're a public health, if you end up being a public health major, or it's a chemistry class if you want to be a bio major. So those auxiliary classes are that last column, and students have to fill their bucket to graduate with those 3 types of classes. And that's how we talk about majors and minors. It's numbers of credits that you can apply towards that 120 credits to graduate. And when you start to make sense of it, it becomes clear, like what Kara got to experience. And you're putting pieces together. What was your favorite class, Kara, that was not in your major, that you might have thought that you could be that major?
Ooh, that's a good one. I can tell you, which I think is almost equally as important, what I knew immediately I would never major in because I didn't like the class. Because the first one that comes to mind is my Introduction to Literature class. I don't really know why I took it because I've never been a big reader, but I took it and I was like, okay, I'm not going to be an English major. I know that much. But I don't know. I enjoyed my economics class. It was really my favorite. I took Principles of Microeconomics. That was the first econ class I'd ever taken in college, and I found everything really interesting. So it was just really affirming to know that I'm starting to learn more about the big world that is college, but it was just really nice to know that I did know something about myself, and then I got to continue with that. As I waited a while, I wanted to really make sure that I was absolutely positive I wanted to be an economics major, because I kind of figured it out my first semester, my freshman year, but I waited until second semester, sophomore year before I made it official. But yeah, I found out that I did like economics a lot, and I did not like English a lot.
But how nice that you had that buffer. You kind of knew early on, but you wanted to take extra time to be absolutely certain. So you felt good about it. That's awesome. So Kayla is wondering, do you choose what classes you'll take in an exploratory program depending on your interests, or will those classes be chosen for you? That's a really good question. It may depend on the school. So Kara, I'll toss that back to you again. And then Katie and Maura, if you want to talk about from your school's perspective, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so at my orientation during the summer before my first year at college, I met with an advisor who actually ended up being my actual advisor for my first few years at Ithaca, which was really nice. But she helped look at what I was interested in and what kinds of general ed requirements I should kind of get out of the way my first semester. And she helped pre-register me for some classes, and she said this is not set in stone. You could end up doing this, or you could pick your own. And it was after I had a conversation with her, so I definitely played a part in picking them. But there was an element of someone kind of put it on paper for me, and I ended up sticking with that. But it was because I had discussed with her my strategy, which was I wanted to see economics versus everything else. So I had a lot of help, but ultimately I did get to choose what I wanted. But it was kind of up to me if I wanted someone to pick them for me, or if I wanted to pick it myself. I kind of had that freedom. But I did end up selecting the classes that I thought sounded interesting.
I guess I would honestly say that we're very similar. You choose what you're interested in via a survey before you meet with your advisor at orientation, which is also what Kara experienced. And when you meet with your advisor, they will give you a list of classes that they want to put you in. But if there's anything that you either aren't interested in or have a better idea of what you want to do by then, that's your opportunity to chat with them about what you're interested in, and they can easily switch around that schedule depending on what you want to do.
And we're the same as well. I will give a plug to fill out your paperwork after you deposit to a school. So in May 1st, there'll be National Candidates Reply Date. So you're building up, for those seniors in the audience, you're building up your knowledge base to make a decision by May 1st. And then after you deposit at a place, you're going to get a lot of information about the next steps. And one of those next steps will be filling out paperwork about your schedule or making an appointment to talk about your schedule, and making sure that you are aware and really thinking about filling that out. But I also plug this as a stepmom of a 24-year-old college grad. You should not have your parents fill that paperwork out for you, because their interests and their desires might be different than what your interests are as well. And sometimes for the parents, it's a little bit harder to accept that undecided makes sense. So thinking about what we talked about today is really important. But then for the student, really thinking what class would I like, what class wouldn't I like, is really important as part of showing your investment. And that's really what you're doing, is building your own investment in college by doing these types of things. Kara, were your parents supportive of an undeclared major? Of course they were, because it worked out for you.
Yeah, my parents were very supportive, and once I started touring more colleges, I started to realize that not every school had a more structured program. So I really gravitated towards the schools that I was interested in that had more structure, because I felt so scared of setting something in stone. And there was one school that I applied to in Canada, actually, but this school made you choose a major when you go in, and it was such a beautiful campus, really wanted to go there, but I ultimately was like, I am not ready to make that decision. So I really liked Ithaca from the start, because there was this extra help. It really scared me to just think that I could go in undecided and then be completely on my own. Even at schools that do have an undecided or undeclared major option, I really felt like I needed not my hand held, but just some more guidance, because the world of college was so unknown and so scary in so many ways outside of just academics, that I thought, please at least help me find my major. But my parents are very supportive of it. I do have to say they're extra supportive once I finally did declare my major, because my dad was an economics major in college. So that was not a determining factor of why I picked it, but he was very happy when it worked out that way.
That is very funny, because my dad is a scientist and he really wanted all of his kids to go into science. We all went into humanities and arts. So good job, Carrie. You get brownie points there. So another really good question, and this kind of touches on something that Maura and I both kind of alluded to earlier. Are there any programs that I can't transfer easily into from some sort of exploring type program? And so I can touch on what our experience at Ithaca College is, and then feel free, Maura and Katie, to jump in. So yeah, we certainly have some programs that are either really, really competitive, and so, you know, they fill up easily, and so we don't have room for people to transfer into later, like our musical theater program, where we only admit about 16 people per year. We have some programs like Bachelors of Music, Bachelors of Fine Arts, that are just really intensive programs, where the scheduling, every semester, every course is really scheduled to the T, and some courses are only offered in the fall and some are only offered in the spring. So it's really hard to make up for lost time there. Of course, you know, it's definitely possible to transfer in, but you may have to kind of start from square one in those programs a little bit. So you may end up adding a semester or two onto your degree progression in those cases. And then I'll also mention, and I'm sure other schools have this too, is if you have any like direct entry advanced accelerated programs. So we have some in the health sciences, physical therapy, occupational therapy, where you enter as a first year student and you stay for 5 or 6 years, and you end up with both a bachelor's and a master's, or maybe even for our physical therapy program, you end up with a doctorate. And so because those are so intensive, you really need to start from, you know, your first year. There isn't really room, wiggle room there. That said, we, at least at Ithaca College, I always hesitate to say anything's impossible to do, because as soon as I say that, I'll meet a student who says, oh yeah, I totally did that. So, it's definitely a conversation you want to have with faculty members or an admission counselor. But we always say, if you do have an inkling, you might want to go into one of those competitive or advanced programs that we say it's a little bit tough to transfer into. Start in that program, apply directly to that program. It's much easier to transfer out of that program into exploratory than it would be to go the other way around. So you still have, the flexibility and wiggle room there, I would say. Kara, anything you want to add to that from the Ithaca College side? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think you got it. I always like to emphasize, because like I said, I'm a tour guide, so on my tours, I get questions like this a lot. I would say there's no major you can't switch into. I think it just depends on your timeline for yourself, because it is possible 2 years down the line, you realize maybe I do want to be a musical theater major. You could audition for it, assuming you get in and everything. You would just have to start from square one. But it is an option. It just depends. If you're looking for a 4-year timeline, then that limits you. But if you're not worried about the 4-year linear progression of graduating high school and then going to college and 4 years later graduating there, you really have a lot of opportunities to start into different programs and things like that.
Great point. Thank you for adding that. Maura or Katie, anything from your perspectives?
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to, we also have some accelerated medical programs, so pharmacy, osteopathic medicine, I can never say that correctly on the first try. Our nursing program also being competitive, a dental program that we have a partnership with Rutgers, but then the other one that I would highly emphasize is our education program, because all of our education majors are setting up for a 5-year master's program. So it would be on the difficult side to transfer into that education program 1 or 2 years in, because it is such a strict timeline given the master's levels courses that they have to take and so on and so forth.
And we're have the similar pieces to it. So education, nursing, it's not impossible, but again, it's about what's my timeline and what do I want to do. So those programs to come in as those majors sometimes is the better way almost to explore and to be able to still have those conversations, because that first year, even if you're in a major, it will count towards that core curriculum that we talked about as well. And you can use your academic advisor and the other offices on campus, because all of us have Center for Student Success or Student Engagement or other administrative office on campuses supporting the students. It really comes down to the other pieces of college too, which is why the major isn't major. It's about the social experiences, the location that makes you comfortable, the people that you'll meet, and the faculty members as well as the administrators that help you find those paths. Strong alumni connections that are going to help you find the jobs afterwards, locations that are comfortable for you to get internships or really neat experiences of your college being connected across the states or across the countries or international. And so those types of things come into play when picking a college, when you're not exactly sure what your major looks like. That's why we say it's not major to have a major.
Katie, you are on it. That was the best segue. So, and as in the absence of any other questions, we have just 1 minute left. So I think we have perfect timing. Abby is giving me the look like, yes. So our contact information is on your screen now. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. If you have questions, we're certainly happy to help. And we're so thankful that you spent some time with us this evening. And yeah, keep in mind that if you don't have a major right away, it's totally not major. We're here to help you. So have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, presenters, you guys did an awesome job, awesome session. So thank you to everyone for joining us as well. So after you do close this window, there is a quick survey, a 4-question survey that will appear, and we would like for you guys to take that. And definitely please sign up for more sessions. If you go to www.njacac.org/virtual fair, you'll see all the different sessions that we do have lined up for the next 2 weeks. And another reminder is that recording for all sessions will be available at www.njacac.org/virtual fair. Thank you once again to everyone for joining us, and awesome job again, presenters. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.